A couple of days after we celebrated our anniversary, I was going through my wardrobe looking for something, but I couldn't find it, so I decided to look in Caleb's wardrobe. I don't remember what exactly I was looking for, but I had a work event coming up, and there was a very specific blazer I needed. I thought that maybe I had mistakenly put it with his clothes, so I decided to check his wardrobe. While looking, I accidentally grabbed a bag that he had shoved right to the back of his wardrobe. Out of curiosity, I took it out and started going through it. To my shock, I realized that it was stuffed with women's clothes. After looking through a few items, it dawned on me that I had seen these clothes before, and I realized they were all Alyssa's. I was completely confused and could not come up with a reasonable explanation for this. So, I decided to look through his phone, something I had never done before because I trusted him and he had never done it to me. We had never given each other any reason to do so, but at that moment, I felt like I had to because if I asked him about those clothes, he would have time to come up with an excuse and hide evidence. So, I decided to go for it. I knew the password to his phone, and when I checked his DMs, I found that the initial messages seemed innocent, but as I scrolled up, I noticed that their communication was much more than friendly. They were flirting, getting intimate by text, and making plans to hook up, which explained all the late nights he had been working. I gathered that this affair had probably been going on for a couple of months. Coincidentally, Alyssa had come over for lunch that day. So, I confronted them both together. I showed them the text messages and the bag of clothes I had found in his wardrobe and demanded an explanation. But instead of apologizing or even denying it, they told me that this was none of my concern and that I had to stay out of their business. I was enraged by that response because clearly, this was my business. If my wife was cheating on me with my sister, it definitely qualifies as my business. I didn't hold back and started screaming at both of them, but they continued to act as if it was no big deal. Caleb even had the audacity to tell me that since I was not giving him a child and didn't spend enough time with him, he had to look for other options. He also criticized my career demands, which was hypocritical because he was unwilling to compromise on his lavish lifestyle, and I was the one supporting it. Alyssa said that I should actually be glad he chose to keep it in the family instead of going elsewhere, as that would have been even more embarrassing for me. They told me that they were not going to stop, and now that I knew, they saw no reason to hide it any longer. They had only been keeping it under wraps to avoid drama and were waiting for Alyssa's promotion so she could move away and Caleb would follow. But she was fine with revealing everything now and getting it over with. It was incredibly painful, and I don't even know how I got through it all. There was not much to say after finding out the truth since they didn't seem guilty about it, and I was not going to forgive Caleb. So, I decided to file for divorce. After I told my parents, they cut Alyssa off, and Eric also stopped speaking to her. Literally, nobody from our family had any ties with her after that, and she didn't seem worse off for it either. A couple of weeks later, Alyssa moved away to Pennsylvania, which is a 9-hour drive away from here, and once our divorce was finalized, 3 months later, Caleb followed her. He did not contest the divorce or my petition and left everything to me. I suppose he figured that since he was with Alyssa, he wouldn't have to worry about money. She had been promoted to a better position with better pay, so he didn't have to worry about losing out on my wealth or the settlement from the divorce. I guess he was just eager to get it over with, so he didn't put up much of a fight. I'm glad about that because it allowed me to wrap things up quickly. Since then, neither I nor anybody else from my family has had any contact with her. We don't know where she is or what she's been up to. We never bothered to find out. My friends who are still in touch with her know better than to talk to me about it. So to sum it up, I have no idea what's going on in her life. It's been 3 years, but I'm still trying to recover from everything. They really messed me up for good. However, I was reminded of everything a couple of days ago because Caleb got back in touch with me. He called me from a number I didn't recognize, and unfortunately, I've had the same phone number for the past couple of years, so I answered the call. As soon as I picked up, I should have hung up, but curiosity got the better of me. When I heard his voice, I decided to hear him out. He sounded desperate and upset and quickly explained that he was calling to ask for my help, which was bold because we had not been in touch for 3 years and did not end on good terms. The least he could have done was apologize, but he didn't and went straight to the point. He told me that Alyssa had been in a car accident a few weeks ago and couldn't move since she had fractured both her legs and her arms were all bruised up. They had a 2-year-old son that needed care. He said he had already tried to get his friends to help, but none were available or willing to take on such a huge responsibility. He couldn't handle everything on his own since he had to go to work and try to earn more now that Alyssa would be on bed rest for quite some time and couldn't work.